I entered the water as naked as when my mother bore me. When I first touched the cold water, I felt a shudder go through me. Then the shudder was transformed into a sensation of wakefulness. The river was not in full spate as during the days of the flooding, nor yet was it at its lowest level. I had put out the candles and locked the door of the room and that of the courtyard without doing anything. Another fire would not have done any good. I left him talking and went out. I did not let him complete the story. I thought of going and standing by her grave. I thought of throwing away the key where nobody could find it. Then I decided against it. Meaningless acts. Yet I had to do something. My feet led me to the river bank as the first glimmerings of dawn made their appearance in the east. I would dispel my rage by swimming. The objects on the two shores were half visible, appearing and disappearing, veering between light and darkness. The river was reverberating with its old familiar voice, moving yet having the appearance of being still. There was no sound except for the reverberation of the river and the puttering of the water pump not far away. I began swimming towards the north shore. I went on swimming and swimming till the movements of my body settled down into a restful harmony with the forces of the river. I was no longer thinking as I moved forward through the water. The impact of my arms as they struck the water, the movement of my legs, the sound of my heavy breathing, the reverberation of the river, and the noise of the pump puttering on the shore, these were the only noises. I continued swimming and swimming, resolved to make the northern shore. That was the goal. In front of me the shore rose and fell, the noises being totally cut off and then blaring forth. Little by little, I came to hear nothing but the reverberation of the river. Then it was as if I were in a vast echoing hall. The shore rose and fell, the reverberation of the river faded and overflowed. In front of me I saw things in a semicircle, then I veered between seeing and blindness. I was conscious and not conscious. Was I asleep or awake? Was I alive or dead? Even so, I was still holding a thin, frail thread, the feeling that the goal was in front of me, not below me, and that I must move forwards and not back downwards. But the thread was so frail it almost snapped, and I reached a point where I felt that the forces lying in the riverbed were pulling me down to them. A numbness ran through my legs and arms. The hall expanded and the answering echoes quickened. Now, and suddenly, with a force that came to me from I know not where, I raised my body in the water. I heard the reverberation of the river and the puttering of the water pump. Turning to left and right, I found I was halfway between north and south. I was unable to continue, unable to return. I turned over onto my back and stayed there motionless, with difficulty moving my arms and legs as much as was needed to keep me afloat. I was conscious of the river's destructive forces pulling me downwards and of the current pushing me to the southern shore in a curving angle. I would not be able to keep thus poised for long. Sooner or later, the river's forces would pull me down into its depths. In a state between life and death, I saw formations of sand grouse heading northwards. Were we in winter or summer? Was it a casual flight or a migration? I felt myself submitting to the destructive forces of the river, felt my legs dragging the rest of my body downwards. In an instant, I know not how long or short it was, the reverberation of the river turned into a piercingly loud roar, and at the very same instant there was a vivid brightness like a flash of lightning. Then, for an indeterminate period, quiet and darkness reigned, after which I became aware of the sky moving away and drawing close, the shore rising and falling. Suddenly I experienced a violent desire for a cigarette. It wasn't merely a desire, it was a hunger, a thirst. And this was the instant of waking from the nightmare. The sky settled into place, as did the bank, and I heard the puttering of the water of the pump, and was aware of the coldness of the water on my body. Then my mind cleared, and my relationship to the river was determined. Though floating on the water, I was not part of it. I thought that if I died at that moment, I would have died as I was born, without any volition of mine. All my life I had not chosen, had not decided. Now I am making a decision. I choose life. I shall live because there are a few people I want to stay with for the longest possible time, and because I have duties to discharge. It is not my concern whether or not life has meaning. If I am unable to forgive, then I shall try to forget. I shall live by force and cunning. I moved my feet and arms violently and with difficulty until the upper part of my body was above water. Like a comic actor shouting on a stage, I screamed with all my remaining strength, "Help! Help!"